Article from the LA Times, August 20th, 2021. The title of this article is Larry Elder is the blackface of white supremacy. You've been warned. I'm not making that up. Larry Elder is the blackface of white supremacy. You've been warned by the LA Times. The Los Angeles Lakers. Conservative radio talk show host Larry Elder speaks to supporters during a campaign stop in Norwalk. That's what the photograph says, is caption. Larry Elder smiled. This is my first time reading this. I just heard about it. It's kind of first reaction. Larry Elder smiled, the smug smile of a black conservative who could very well be liberal California's next governor. Where do you start with the damage Gavin Newsom has done to the state that we both love? He leaned forward to gaze across the room of white Republicans who had come to hear him speak in Orange County. Rising in crime, quote, rising in crime is because of this phony narrative that the police are engaging in systemic racism and cops are pulling back, Elder said. When you reduce the possibility of a bad guy getting caught, getting convicted, and getting incarcerated, guess what? Crime goes up, end quote. Then another smile, this one even more smug than the last. Quote unquote, can you say duh? I won't lie, a few things infuriate me more than watching a black person use willful blindness and cherry-picked facts to make overly simplistic arguments that whitewash the complex problems that come along with being black in America. I'm gonna pause for a quick second. I don't think Larry, in these quotes, Larry Elder didn't say anything about black. This person that's writing this article has implied the connection of being black and crime. Larry Elder didn't say anything about being black and being a criminal. He just said when you reduce people going, let me see exactly what he said. He said when you reduce the possibility of a bad guy getting caught, getting convicted, and getting incarcerated, guess what? Crime goes up. He didn't say anything about black folks. Okay? I will continue. And throughout his career as a radio host, as a talking head for Fox News, and now as a gubernatorial candidate, Elder has made a point of doing just that. Usually with a lot of taunting and toddler-like name-calling of his ideological enemies in the process. As longtime political consultant Kerman Maddox put it, Larry Elder goes out of his way to be at odds with the leadership in the black community and at odds with the thinking in the black community. He goes out of his way to be at odds with black community leaders and the thinking in the black community. This is insane. This is in the LA Times. Like a lot of black people, though, I've learned that it's often best just to ignore people like Elder. People who are, as my dad used to say, skin folk, but not necessarily kinfolk. Not all skin folk are kinfolk. That's certainly how many of LA's black and politically powerful have tried to deal with him over the years. As the Times once wrote of Representative Maxine Waters' refusal to be a guest on Elder's radio talk show, why should she boost the ratings of a man who ridicules her by mixing a recording of a barking dog over her sound bites? But with polls showing that nearly half of likely voters support recalling Newsom and that Elder is in the lead to replace him, ignoring the self-proclaimed sage from South Central is no longer a viable strategy, particularly for black folks. He is a danger, a clear and present danger, said Melina Abdullah. Melina Abdullah said that he is a clear and present danger. Co-founder of Black Lives Matter Los Angeles. So one of the co-founders of Black Lives Matter, BLM Incorporated in Los Angeles, which is probably one of the biggest chapters, if not where it started. She thinks that he is a danger. Didn't say a danger to what, just said a danger. It's not just that Elder would be a Trump fanboy Republican trying to run a state dominated by Democrats, or that he has zero experience. Isn't that balance of power? If you got a governor that's a Republican and all your other counties are ran by Democrats, isn't that a balance of power? Whatever. You want a whole state to just be ran by Democrats. That's why people are leaving. Anyways. Or that he has zero experience in elected office and clearly doesn't have the temperament for governance. He can't even take questions from journalists without losing his cool. I wouldn't be able to keep my cool probably all the time either. It's that. Perhaps out of spite or perhaps out of insatiable need for attention, Elder opposes every single public policy idea that's supported by black people. What black people? What black people? Talking to you, Abdullah. This has been true for decades, because that's probably who he is. He stands on who he is. But it's particularly problematic given the racial reckoning following the murder of George Floyd. We've been having a series of real uncomfortable discussions about systemic racism in institutions across the state, said State Senator Sidney Kamlinger, Democrat from Los Angeles. Awesome. Yes, we have. About how to really peel back the layers of ignorance or ineptitude so that we can deal with them in very real ways. And Larry Elder is someone who just fundamentally doesn't believe that systemic racism exists. He also apparently doesn't believe that racial profiling exists. This is despite telling the Times' editorial board that police pulled him over between 75 and 100 times the first year he had his driver's license. Where is Larry Elder today, as Jesse Lee Peterson say? He alive. He run for governor. Elder scoffs at the many efforts to reform the criminal justice system and to root out racial bias in policing by requiring more transparency and accountability from officers. Instead, he keeps trotting out statistics that purport to show that black people are particularly prone to murdering one another. Let me read that again just to show you, because they were talking about earlier in this article, they just said how they need to really peel. This is a quote from Sidney Kamlinger, the Democrat of Los Angeles. She said they've had conversations about how to really peel back the layers of ignorance or ineptitude so that we can really deal with them in very real ways, right? And then she goes on to say, that Elder scoffs at the many efforts to reform the criminal justice system and to root out racial bias in policing by requiring more transparency and accountability from officers. Instead, he keeps trotting out statistics that purport to show that black people are particularly prone to murdering one another. And it's really sad to read that, because that's just an ignorant statement in itself. That's ignorant for this writer to write this. Do we still have a phenomenon where a young black man is 8 times more likely to be killed by another young black man than a young white man? He told the Republicans in Orange County. So this is what Larry Elder was saying. He's asking, is it still the phenomenon where a young black man is 8 times more likely to be killed by another young black man than another young white man? If the answer is yes, I submit to you that systemic racism is not the problem. That's a quote from Larry Elder when he was talking in Orange County. If the answer is yes, which if was a fifth, right? If it's yes, which we all know damn well it is, then systemic racism ain't the problem. Elder mocks critical race theory, though I'm not sure he understands what it actually is. That doesn't bode well for ethnic studies in California. If he's elected, the task force studying reparations for black Californians will be toast, as would yet unsigned bills to allow police officers to be decertified for misconduct and to support community-based alternatives to 9/11. The 911, I should say. The phone number 911. Then there are elders' views on masks and vaccine for COVID-19. The only reason that they're being extensive about him is because he's a possible governor, and that his ideals could be not spread, but his ideals could very well be legislation. That's the only reason they're going into detail about him and saying some things. And attacking every aspect of his structured belief system at the current moment. Yeah, it's a little bit longer, guys. I'm not going to continue to finish reading it, but they're afraid that Larry Elder's going to win, and it's actually sad. These people are the real racists, man. Yeah, it's sad the way they're doing Larry Elder, the way they do a lot of people that are conservative thinking. They don't want people to think for themselves. It's bad, man. I hate it. I don't like it. Why is Larry Elder not able to, why has he got to be the black face for white supremacy? Because of what he believes in. I don't know, man. I don't know. But if California, if you guys don't, vote your values, vote your morals, vote your principles, and they're all different. Some people might value other things than others. Some people might think critical race theory and systemic racism isn't as valuable or as important as some other people on the left, right? Grew up in California, and I'm pretty sure it was in a Republican county, but obviously the bigger cities are going to be more liberal leaning, more left leaning. Up north, in San Francisco, all the way down south, and in Los Angeles. I find it just really disgusting that they treat this man like this from LA, and LA Times writes about him like this. If he was out there burning buildings and throwing bombs at things, or doing what Maxine Water does, and kind of inciting violence against police officers and others like them, then he wouldn't be getting this type of rhetoric thrown at him. I'm Brandon. Y'all have a great rest of the day, great rest of the week. Y'all be blessed.